Hello guys, so my name is Don. As you know me, some of you know me through the social media. So today I'd like to take you a little bit through about my tonsillectomy story. So I know many have been, most of you have seen that I've been well for the past uh, like 3 weeks. I've been unwell, and that was following my tonsillectomy surgery that I went through. So basically, I've been one person who is normally hit very hard when I get tonsils, and so this led me to trying to get what's the permanent kind of solution that I can be able to come up with, so that this kind of attack no longer affects me. So when I visited the hospital, luckily I was told that yeah, there is a permanent way of doing tonsils. And so when I posted this online about having undergone these, many people were a bit, I saw some of you having so many myths around it. And one thing that made me also want to do this video, just to enlighten some people a little bit. And also I've seen a lot of horrifying stories online about actually global stories about the whole of tonsillectomy process and the outcomes and the experience. So I thought, why not share this story, so that you might learn one or two things, and also it might help you to make a decision if you're that person who also get hit very hard the way I got hit very hard. I normally get hit, because they normally affect me so much in terms of, like, I can even get admitted, because for me they come with a lot of high fevers, and I get very weak. And so now back to the stories. That so when I went to hospital and I visited the doctor, I wanted to see what's the best way of doing away with this, because I normally get tonsils like after every month, or anytime I take a cold stuff in the evening or early in the morning, I will be so sure that the following day I'll be having tonsils. So nikasema, this is becoming too much. Like even I could even maybe after every month, lazima najua I'll have to go on sick leave, because then with the tonsils, my tonsils were si zile za kuvumilia, or I can say I just go to work, maybe I take medication, and then I'm okay. So that's how I made the decision of trying to look for a way forward, so that I can at least live at peace with myself, knowing that I can eat or I can take even cold stuff even in the evening and in the morning, but not and not being afraid of the outcomes. So I went to one of the hospitals here in Rwaka, and the doctor told me that yeah, indeed there is a permanent solution of dealing with tonsils, and that is what you call the tonsillectomy procedure, which is kind of a minor surgery. So I was really eager to know how this happens, because also for me, in the backstories which I used to hear about these were bad, there's nothing good I used to hear about the process of removing tonsils. And one of the myths that is most talked about is about you losing your taste, and then maybe it having, maybe sometimes you never get healed because of the process, so that you might time to time get bleeding. Time to time you bleed, and then time to time you also get inflammation around your throat. And these stories could actually make you feel uncomfortable about doing the tonsillectomy procedure. So I took time, and I was told like, this is something we can do for you. Even actually the doctor told me, yeah, you can even do it today or tomorrow, because for it to be done, it has to be done with an ENT specialist. So they were like, we can do it tomorrow, we can organize for you. So the doctor was like, we can even do it for you tomorrow, because you have to organize with the ENT specialist, who can then come and assess you, and then recommend also from his or her professional perspective. So I was like, I'm okay to first meet the ENT specialist, and then what he recommends, we can see what to do. But at that point, my heart was really not for it, based on what I used to know about the process. So after that, I agreed that I can meet the ENT specialist. We plan on the way forward. So when we started talking about this, I remember even when I was told come the following day we do the assessment, I remember I didn't even go, because first I went now calling doctors that I know. I went calling doctors that I know to ask them, hey, what do you think about this tonsillectomy process? Is it true that someone can lose chest, or is it true this can happen? Is it true that you can end up taking very long to heal? So I called quite a number of doctors, and then also I did a lot of researches on YouTube, watching the stories, how it's done, and how the process looks like to heal, how long it takes you to go back to the normal feeding habits. So some of them were positive, but sometimes when you're looking for something negative, you will always meet the negative stuffs, and so they tend of pull you back or make you feel like I should wait, take more time maybe to make a decision. But then one of the doctors that I spoke to, just a friend, told me that this is a normal process, it's a normal procedure, you can go through it. The only thing he told me is that what you need to do is just put down all the questions that you have, and then when you go to meet the ENT specialist, ask him or her all the questions that you have, and then you'll see what if more than if most of the questions will be answered in a way that you expect or are positive, then go for it. But if you'll be having a doubt, then take more time. So I exactly did that, and even at some point I now even stopped looking for more research online, because now on YouTube sometimes you go there and you're watching and you're like seeing some other testimonial stories that are very negative, people who have not even healed, people who are still going for, after the first surgery they had it bad or something went wrong, they've had to go for the second correction, third correction. So you're like, can only imagine going for a surgery and then something doesn't go correctly, you have to repeat. So that one to me was sounding very, very scary. But what I did according to what I was recommended, so I wrote all the questions down that I had for, and then I called the hospital and told them, hey, I didn't make it to come yesterday, but can you schedule for like the coming week on a Monday so that I can come? So they're like, yeah, fine, that's good, we can do that. They went on and did that. So on that day I went there, I met the ENT specialist, whom I had so many questions for him, and to some point he was even surprised because I even knew even some of the technical terms that were being used, even some of the current technology that was being used to do the tonsillectomy process. So I asked him some of the questions, and he answered, and I was a bit satisfied, and I was like, yeah, I think we are good to go. So it's like, tomorrow morning be here by 8. So the following day I was there by 8 a.m. and we started the process. And now, knowing that now this is the time, I couldn't come to terms with what was going to happen, like going to theater for the first time. I've been to theater, but just as a media personnel doing stories, but not really as the one going through the procedure. So I was there, we started the process, they were taking me through the talks, meeting the team. Theater team is quite a huge team, so meeting all the nurses, the anesthesia specialist as well, the ENT surgeon was there. So we started having the talks, and then there we started the whole process. So through this, definitely you're taken through anesthesia process, and then you're also given other medication so that you can as well sleep, so that you don't see what happens. Because generally, if you watch online the tonsillectomy process, it's not something you want to be awake or to see what's happening. You might end up slapping the nurses or the surgeon in the theater room. So yeah, that happened, and I think in about 45 minutes, just the way they had said, I was out of the theater room. The process happened, and it took about 45 minutes. As what is recommended, it's around 45 to 1 hour. So in about, I think, 45 minutes I was out of the theater, and for me, I don't know the time I slept. I think I woke up in like after 50 minutes. It's when I found myself in the ward bed, and the next thing I was asking where I could, because at that point I was now feeling something, but not pain, but I was just feeling at my throat some kind of blood, and so I wanted somewhere where I could spit. So at that point when I was now getting back to my conscious, and I realized that this thing has already happened and it's ended. Tomorrow morning, be here by 8. So the following day, I was there by 8 a.m. and we started the process. And now knowing that now this is the time, I couldn't come to terms with what was going to happen, like going to theater for the first time. I've been to theater, but just as a media personnel doing stories, but not really as the one going through the procedure. So I was there, we started the process, they were taking me through the talks, meeting the team. Theater team is quite a huge team, so meeting all the nurses, the anesthesia specialist as well, the ENT surgeon was there. So we started having the talks, and then there we started the whole process. So through this, definitely you're taken through anesthesia process, and then you're also given other medication so that you can as well sleep, so that you don't see what happens. Because generally, if you watch online the tonsillectomy process, it's not something you want to be awake or to see what's happening. You might end up slapping the nurses or the surgeon in the theater room. So yeah, that happened, and I think in about 45 minutes, just the way they had said, I was out of the theater room, and the process happened, and it took about 45 minutes. What is recommended, it's around 45 to 1 hour. So in about, I think, 45 minutes I was out of the theater, and for me, I don't know the time I slept. I think I woke up in like after 50 minutes. It's when I found myself in the ward bed, and the next thing I was asking where I could, because at that point I was now feeling something, but not pain, but I was just feeling at my throat some kind of blood, and so I wanted somewhere where I could spit. So at that point when I was now getting back to my conscious, and I realized that this thing has already happened and it ended. So from that point, they told me even now you can take cold stuff. So after the tonsillectomy procedure, you can now, for the healing process to start taking place faster, you are recommended to take cold stuffs like ice cream. Now this is opposite of what I was taking before I went through this. Before this, I couldn't take this cold stuff. Yeah, so now I can start taking. Yeah, I can now start taking stuffs like ice cream, which is totally opposite of what I could take before tonsils were removed. So those are the things now I was surviving on, and now what I could eat from that moment was very light food, that is either ice creams or drinks like porridge, and they also have to be very cold, because that process it's very uncomfortable to eat either warm or hot stuff. So it's all about surviving on cold stuffs, and then again anything without salt or without any acid like citrus, any fruits that have acid, because they could really trigger the pains around the throat. So those were the things now I was surviving on, and at some point I would say the first 1 week was a little bit of very hard to handle, because waking up in the morning, you could have a lot of pains in the morning, because it's just the same way when you have tonsils. Early in the morning, it's when you experience the most pain. And now after tonsillectomy, I noticed that the pain in the morning is a lot, because during the night you've been sleeping, and so you've not been having movements around your the muscles around your throat. So at that moment, when you're trying now in the morning, when you wake up and you try to move the muscles, you feel the muscles feel strained. So that's why there is a lot of pain in the morning. But I tried to navigate through slowly through the medication I was given, anti-inflammatory spray, where I could spray every twice a day, or maybe after every 2 hours when I feel the pain is too much. And then also I was put under antibiotics, which are also very strong, and also anti-acid, because sometimes when you're having the intake for the blood, because it's around the neck, so sometimes you might have blood intake going to the stomach, so you also need to use some antiacid to just try and mitigate that acidic pain in the stomach. So now that happened, and now the second week still going through the same, the third week a little bit going down. I can start taking some food with a little bit of salt, but not too much, just light. And then as well I can start taking also some warm stuffs, but very maybe lukewarm, or a little bit with some heat, but that is manageable, something that I feel when I eat it's not going to cause me a lot of strain, and I start feeling also a lot of pain. So but now going to the fourth week, pain has succumbed, and now I think now in the fourth week I've started now eating normally, but with some moderation of maybe even not really hot stuff, but at least some manageable heat, and also food in terms of salt, in terms of fruits. I can eat now any fruit, regardless of whether they have the acidity or not. So I'll say in general, this tonsillectomy process for me, I would say it was smooth. It was only hard in terms of the healing process, but I've not gone, even when I went for my review in the third week, the doctor was like, this is going on well, and I only needed a few anti-inflammatory medicine to just help me even in my fourth and fifth week, to ensure that if in case I get any pain, it can be able to in case I get any pain, it can be able to help me manage that pain. But in general, the pain has went down in 4 weeks. So I would say this process is a bit smooth, and for me, I have not seen any other hardship apart from the healing process, which is normal, and you have to go through it, because this is a surgery, and a lot has happened. And I would say if you're having very serious tonsils, I think this is something you should consider, and especially it's recommended at young stages. Maybe if you have kids as well who are having crazy tonsils, it's very recommended it can be done in the early stages, because you all know when still kids the process of healing is faster, and as well when you're now grown up, the process of healing. That's why I think for me it has taken a little bit long, because the doctors were saying sometimes take 2 weeks, but for me I think it's taken almost 3 to 4. The fourth week is now when I'm feeling a little bit much better. So if you have kids, your kids are getting very crazy tonsils, or you yourselves are getting crazy tonsils, you can consider it, but being sure that you're doing it with the right surgeon, that is an ENT specialist, whom you'll have also gone through with him or her to do the assessment and give you recommendations, and you'll have also done your due diligence and ensure that any question that you have, any research that you've seen around, you're able to ask and get the clarity, and so that as you're going to the theater, yes, you're nervous, you're anxious, but at least there's that 60% telling you that this is going to be a smooth process. So that is very key, and it will help you to have that confidence. So for me today, I would say my tonsillectomy was a success, from the theater, from how the doctors handled it, and from and also to the healing, it's been a little bit taken time, but I'll say in my 4th week I can feel confident, I can eat anything, and I'm getting back well. So I like to hear your comments about what you think about this and questions that you have. And this is more related to tonsillectomy and also removal of adenoids. They are more related, so because they are all at the back of the throat. So if these are things you are struggling with, I think you should consider doing it, but with the right doctors and also with the right facilities, just to make sure you do not compromise anything. So that's my tonsillectomy story, and I would like to hear your questions, or on the comment section you can ask maybe any question or any clarity that you'd like to know from me. And that's it for it today. Till next time.